Okay, we got another one. Like, I have seen a few videos on this one. Sorry, my dogs, if you heard that. It's my dogs coming in and out of the house. This one's about Canon Hinnant, and Canon's a 5-year-old. If you've seen the hashtag say his name, this is what this is from. It was trending. Basically, he's a 5-year-old, and we'll get into all like the story behind it. 5-year-old that was killed by a grown man while playing in his dad's front yard. The controversy not only is the shooting, a lot of people were upset that not a lot of the mainstream media was covering this. They felt like because it was a black man that had shot this little boy, it would have been tragic either way, but because it was a black man that shot this little boy, they felt like there wasn't certain media outlets were not going to cover it. But they felt like if it was reversed, if it was a white man that shot a black boy, they felt like it would have gotten traction on these other media outlets that were not covering it at the time. Now, since then, CNN's one of them. And since then, CNN has put out the story. But if you look at their sources, it's always like an affiliate. They didn't send any of their people out. It's like after the fact type thing. I think that was a recovery. I'm glad that they reported on it, but I feel like it was worth having your own people come out and show support for this family, because any child that gets hurt by a grown person, regardless of race, needs to come forward, and as media outlets they need to show a solidarity that we publicly as media, as people, will not put up with grown people hurting children, period. I'm disappointed. I watch both Fox and CNN just because I feel like I get something from both, and I can kind of go in the middle, and somewhere in between those two is probably truth. With that being said, let's get into the details. The individual that shot him, his name is Darius, and he's a 25-year-old. He was neighbors with the dad for at least 8 years, and this happened in North Carolina, in Wilson. My dog's growling. Yeah, it's a horrible story, Lily. It is. On Saturday, the dad had Darius, the dad's name is Austin. So Austin had Darius over for dinner, and then afterwards they sat on the front porch and sipped beer together. He said he never had any issues with him. Sunday morning they went to church. Like, they've gotten some statements from people in the neighborhood, and this little boy, it doesn't sound like he was scared at all being outside. There's many neighbors that will say that when he would come and say hi to him as he was riding his bike outside and playing outside with his sisters, and he will come up to neighbors, be like, oh, can you fill up my tire? Or one neighbor was saying, like, if he saw them outside with a popsicle, he'd just walk up and be like, hey, can I have some? He doesn't sound like, he was just like one of those kids, like, he loved people and he was not scared of them, and it sounds like he kind of visited his neighbors and they loved him. I don't know, because you couldn't have seen this coming. If they knew each other for 8 years, been neighbors for 8 years, it's not like you would have known this was coming. And the dad said that there was no beef or anything, no arguments. He never had anything happen. Obviously, had him over the night before, had dinner, had a few beers. He came over that Sunday for a little bit, and then in the evening he was outside playing with his two sisters. Canon is 5, then his sisters are 7 and 8. They were outside playing, riding bikes. The dad heard a gunshot go off. He's inside. He came out and he saw his son on the ground. At first he thought that the son had just fallen off his bike, but as he got closer he realized it was much worse. And he started to scream for help and for someone to help him save his son. And he's cradling him in his arms. The fiance of the dad calls 911. As the dad is holding Canon, he can see his neighbor pacing frantically with the gun. Saw him and he was angry, but he just could not leave his son. I mean, I get it. Like, that would be hard because you'd want to, like, go after the man that just shot your kid and, like, kill him. But at the same time, he didn't want to leave his son. He got to a medical facility in Wilson and then was pronounced dead. Now, once they left with the boy to go to the medical facility, that is when the neighbor, Darius, flees. He is later found the next day on Monday by the U.S. Marshals, I believe, and then he's about 30 minutes away from Wilson, North Carolina. He has been taken into custody. There is a GoFundMe if you'd like to help the family. It's under Justice for Canon. I'll link it below as well. Okay, so I get being upset about the coverage and why you think they didn't cover it, and if they would have covered it if the races were reversed. But there have been a few outlets that have tried to spin this like it was a racial motivated hate crime, but there is no evidence of that. I mean, it sounds like the dad and this guy were at least acquaintances, if not friends, because he had him over for dinner. They sat together. Says they had no beef. So there is no proof of that. If there's something that you find later that the guy went on social media and suddenly had an epiphany and decided he didn't like white people, I don't know. We don't know if there's any mental issues, like mental health issues. My thinking of this is that's what they're going to go for. Say that he has, but in my eyes and in my head, I don't care. You hurt a little boy, and for me, you're done. You forfeit your life. But for those that are trying to say that it was a racially motivated hate crime, I don't see any proof of that. There may be some racial optics that are put out there. I think that because of the races that some media outlets didn't cover it quite as fast because they have other narratives or didn't want to be seen in these times where the focus is more on correcting racial biases in other ways. And so they don't want to distract from that. But in my way of thinking, wrong is wrong, you report it. At this point, when a little kid gets it, race is not a factor. It shouldn't be a factor in your newscast. So, especially when the young person, it's a young, innocent child that was just outside playing, it's a tragedy, and you should report that. Would have showed solidarity in the fact that they wouldn't be biased, that they're just there to make sure justice is done. If you're going to have a justice platform, which right now it seems like they are trying to have a justice platform. So, but there's also been reports of fake things that look like they've been released, like from the police department there. And the police in Wilson, North Carolina, have said this is not true. If you see anything on Facebook, and they're saying it is mostly on Facebook, they think that if you see it, you can report it. But there's some screenshots out there that show what looks like a report from the police. It has a lot of misspellings and punctuation, incorrect punctuation. If you see that, it's not real. So they're just putting it out there. They haven't released anything as far as motive yet. It's unclear if Darius has a lawyer at this time. But for me, I don't even care what his reasons were. I mean, I don't know that there's a reason that's good enough to excuse this for me, you know? So And not only do we have a 5-year-old that is no longer living, but now we have a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old who witnessed their neighbor, someone it seems like they would have trusted since the dad let them in the house for dinner, someone they probably weren't afraid of, out of the blue, come up, put a gun to their little brother's head and pull the trigger, and then watch this tragedy. These 2 little kids, not only is the dad going to be traumatized, everybody going to be traumatized, but now you also have these other 2 little kids that are going to have some issues. And so for me, there's nothing. If you had mental health issues, you should have gotten help. If you and I know that sounds harsh, but when you're a danger to the most innocent children, there is nothing you can do or say to me that will justify it. It's just a passion of mine. I grew up in the foster care system. I saw a lot of kids that came from situations that they were hurt. I have seen a lot of kids that in foster care that they were hurt, and maybe just not given the help. There's a lot of things. So children are off limits to me, and I have zero empathy for the person that hurts a child. Zero. Not a thing. I don't care if the dad and him had beef. I don't care. I don't care if the dad called him minutes before and said something crazy. It wouldn't care. It wouldn't justify him killing this 5-year-old boy. Let me know what you think. What you think should happen. What do you think? Do you think it was racially motivated? I don't see any proof. Unless there's something out there that I'm not seeing and you see it, please leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think about this story. Again, I will leave links below if you want to donate to Canon. I don't know what a funeral would cost. There's going to be a lot of things that this dad is going to have to think about. The mom and dad have to deal with the funeral. The dad's probably not going to want to live in a place where his son died in the front yard. That will be hard. And feel comfortable with his other 2 kids in the house or outside without him. I think, and then those kids are going to need probably a lot of counseling and therapy from the things that they saw, and grief counseling for the family. I think there's going to be a lot of things that this fund will be helpful for, because I don't think we realize the actions of one man catastrophically affect so many people's lives. And you say it's just one guy's actions. One guy's actions have now decimated some of the other people's, what their futures would have been. Anyway, with that said, thank you for listening to this video or watching this video. Please subscribe. I do take cases by individual basis, just because, and you'll see me be more harsh and probably hypocritical when this cases involve little kids. I have very little tolerance, and so you'll probably see that in my videos. And if you don't like it, you don't have to watch my videos. You can just keep on going. That being said, again, thanks for watching, and share this channel with somebody if you think that they would be interested in the videos. So that being said, I will see you in the next video. Could you? Are you good? Would you please just lay down, relax. I love you too. I know. You want some attention. I'm busy. She is such a you're walking on people, literally walking on people. Go outside. No, you go outside. Oh my gosh, both of them. What is going on right now? Okay, give me a second. Okay, I think we've calmed down. I think we've calmed down. You know what? Sometimes dogs are so cute, but kind of a brat. Yeah, those are my dogs.